Welcome back to the Fortified series. This is our 14-day devotional series where we, as a community, are taking you back to the basics and making sure that you are spiritually fortified. Fortified doesn't mean something was naturally strong. It means strength was intentionally added. And Jesus tells us that the wise person builds in a way that still stands when the storm hits. And if life keeps applying pressure and exposing the same weak places, then it isn't about your effort. It is about your infrastructure. And we want to change that. So today we have Coach Words leading the charge, a marriage and relationship coach in our Thrive and Prosper community who doesn't want you to just fortify yourself without fortifying your marriage and your family. With the help of the Holy Ghost, he has saved so many marriages from disaster, and he helps build structure and systems to families every single day that change their life in the trajectory of those relationships. And we have the distinct honor of being coached by him today. Take it away, Words.
All right, yo, what up, Tiff? I appreciate you, sis. Okay, so listen, we're about to dig in, and I'm very excited about this message. I'm going to teach you about what it means to fortify your marriage. Now, listen, I understand that there could be several things that need to happen, but from me being married 16 years now, this year will actually make 17 years. We've been together over 20 years, right? So I've actually been with my wife longer than I was with my family. Okay. I've been with my wife longer than I've been with my family. And in this time, I have learned a set of principles that I call the 7 deadly sins of marriage. I've learned a set of principles that have kept us grounded and rooted in God, but also being able to move in agreement together, move as one flesh, and that has been extraordinary. And how we raise our kids, and how we're able to live for God, and how we build our business, and be able to be full-time business owners, and how we run our household. All of those things come into play, but it's going to start with these 7 principles that I'm going to give you. So I'm going to give you 7 deadly sins that I need you to take a look at in your marriage. But then after that, what I'm going to do in each one, I'm going to tell you, okay, what should you have in place to now start to correct these things? All right. So we're going to have some fun in this video, and I'm excited to dig in with you all. Okay, cool. So the first one, here's deadly sin number 1 when it comes to your marriage. All right, y'all ready? Having unspoken expectations. That is a deadly sin. I want you all to look at it this way. There are several times where I noticed that my wife and I, we say intense fellowships. So we had these intense fellowships because there would be some things in her mind that she expected to happen that didn't happen. As well as me, there will be some things that I just expected you to know or expected you to see that I needed your help or support in this area. And when you didn't come through, I now felt a way. This is something that is subtle but can cause a lot of resentment, because then you start to feel unsupported. You start to feel unheard. You start to feel unseen, all of those things. And when you start to feel these things in your marriage, what happens is you will begin to build a wall. You go into what I like to call this protective state. You're going to protect yourself so it doesn't happen again. So ultimately what is happening is you create a disconnect between you and your spouse. You start to say to yourself, I can't count on you, or I'm in this by myself. I guess I just got to do everything on my own. Or I've never been supported in this way. Those are the words that you start to speak over your marriage. That is what starts to kill your marriage and start to move subtly in your heart. When your heart becomes hardened towards your spouse and you don't know how to come out of it, and you don't realize that a simple communication of the standard could have cured all of these things, then what happens is you slowly start to move towards divorce. You slowly start to check out. You slowly start to entertain other things. I want you all to see in Amos 3:3, it says, do 2 people walk together unless they have agreed to do so? Meaning us 2 walking together, we want to get to a destination. We're walking together And we are in agreement in doing so. We're in agreement on where we're going. We're in agreement on the expectation. We're in agreement on the outcome that we're desiring. We're in full agreement. We've communicated with one another. How can you all walk together except be in agreement? So what that simply means is, if you have an expectation, come to an agreement about what that expectation is. There was a point that my wife and I, so like, she would, I don't like being late for events and things like that. So I try to be on time to the places that I'm going to. And there was a time when we first had our first child, our 14-year-old daughter. She's 14 now, but when we first had our daughter, I would get dressed and be like, well, I'm ready. And then I would sit there and wait. Well, during that time, she was cleaning bottles. She was packing the baby's bag. She was getting extra diapers. She was getting snacks, and then had to also get herself ready. All right. And sometimes get the baby dressed. Literally, y'all, in your head, as you're listening to this, all right, some of the ladies are like, yo, why you ain't help? I promise you, this is my first time being a father. This is my first time being married and a father. So at this point, I'm like, okay, this is, you do this, right? Or I'm thinking to myself, if you need help, you'll ask. I'm not thinking about, oh, let me jump in and do this. I'm not considering it. So while I'm sitting there ready to go, and I'm sitting there on time, and my irritation with her is building up because I want to be on time. Her irritation is building up with me because she doesn't feel supported. So now we get in the car. Guess what? Listen to, I need you all to hear this. In the car, I'm thinking, well, you're gonna take ownership for not making us late, or are you gonna take ownership for not coming out on time? And then guess what she's thinking in her head? Are you going to say something about not helping me? Are you going to say? So again, she has an unspoken expectation that was not met. So her fire is going. And then not only is it not met, and I failed at that point, but then she doesn't say that this is what's wrong. So we spend the next 3 or 4 days not talking to each other because we're both in our feelings. We're both hurt. We both had an unspoken expectation, and it caused a disconnect in our marriage. So instead, here's what we now do. Okay. Here's what we had to start to implement because we wanted to move this subtle disconnect. All right. This is a subtle foothold. I'm trying to tell you, like, it's something very clear where you may be cleaning and you may think like, hey, if I'm cleaning, that should inspire you to start cleaning. Or if you see me pick up and wash my dish, then that should inspire you to do the same. It does not work like that. What you're not keeping into account is that I was raised differently, or my habits are, however I was raised as an adult, these have been my habits for the past 10 or 15 years. So now you're wanting, I can't shift a habit that I don't know that is bothering you. I can't grow in an area that I don't know is triggering you in any type of way. I can't support you in a way that I don't know that you need support. That is an unfair expectation to have of your spouse. And I don't care that you think that it's common sense. It's not common to your spouse. And don't be judgmental in that way. Instead, this is what we do now. Let's have a conversation. If now I want something or I need help, hey babe, do you mind? The simplicity. And this is what we started doing. Okay. I took it upon myself. And she knows to do this as well because we had a conversation. Now, when we have these conversations, we don't have these conversations while we're at this high point because we're not going to be listening to each other. We wait until there's peace and then we have the conversation. When there's peace, it's like, hey, babe, I was really frustrated that we didn't get there on time. And I really want to get places on time. And it bothers me that you didn't make that a priority. Listen to this. The response is not, well, I was frustrated that you didn't. No. If you want, listen to me, okay? If you wanted to talk first and you wanted to get your point across first, then you should have ran to forgiveness first. Don't do that now that I've opened up and I've started with, hey, I was frustrated because of this. Now this is your response. I do apologize that I did not make being on time a priority. I apologize for that. That is something that I can definitely work on and I can strive to be better at later. Okay. There was some things that I was also frustrated with. I think it would be helpful for me to be on time, that if you get ready first, can you take on one of the tasks that we have to do to get our kids ready? Oh, absolutely. I apologize, babe, for I didn't even see that you needed support in that area. I didn't see it. I didn't even fathom it or think about it in that way. Because what I don't want you all to do is purposely think that your spouse is purposely trying to neglect or harm you. That's not me. This is a woman. I want to take care of this woman. I don't want to purposely put her through a level of stress or overwhelm. It's not what I'm doing. So now that we both come into an agreement, guess what? The next time we're getting ready for something, hey, babe, I want to leave in the next 30 minutes. Is there anything you need me to do to support you in getting ready? Yeah, we need to wash the bottles, and can you set out the outfit and just get the baby, bring her down here. I'll get her dressed and all this. Okay, cool. So you're going to do this and I'm going to do this. And then we're going to get dressed and then we're going to leave about 10 a.m. That good? Good. In agreement, we're able to move. In agreement. The expectations are clear. I can meet the standard when I'm clear on what the expectation is. Y'all ain't gonna talk to me. Y'all not talking to me. Okay, let me go to number two. So I just told you have to communicate when there's peace of what the expectation is that you wanted. You both should come into an agreement with, okay, you understand. Cool, let's get out there and do it. And there will be another time where there's something that comes up and you were like, but I thought why wouldn't you just, and there it is. The indicator that, you know what? Okay, I didn't even say anything. That's my bad. So going forward, when you see me doing this or when you see this, I would love if you would do this. Simple communication. It would cure so much. Okay, let's go to number two. Number two goes very well with number one. Number two is not having a reconciliation plan in place. So what happens is when you do not know how you're going to reconcile, I'm going to have my point of view, you're going to have your point of view, we're going to have our different perspectives or whatever. We're going to have disagreements. We're going to have intense fellowships. These things are going to happen and it's going to cause us to disconnect in a way because our anger, because this flesh, all of these things, pride, the ego, all of these things comes up. But what needs to happen is you need to have a way that you are going to reconcile. How do we come back together after we've been disconnected? How do we regain our intimacy? How do we recapture happiness? Joy should always be a part of your marriage. Joy is internal. Like this is something that God gives us. Every single day we have joy. When we wake up, we have joy. But happiness, it has ebbs and flows. But how do we return back to that happiness? All right. So in Ephesians, I know Paul. We gotta go Paul. Woo. Okay. In Ephesians 4, it talks about in your anger, do not sin. Do not let the sun go down while you're still angry. And do not give the devil a foothold. I need you all to recognize in this moment, when you're disconnected, there is a foothold being given to the devil. This is why this is a deadly sin in marriage. Because what happens when I am angry, there was a point where we were dating where I didn't know how to emotionally cope. So the way I emotionally coped was with other people. So I would purposely just try to, instead of living in that pain or living in that anger or sorrow or sadness or whatever that I felt, I would talk to another female. I would literally reach out to someone else, and I would try to dismiss these feelings that I had for my spouse. Whereas my wife, she would do something, whereas she would isolate herself. And this is, I'm talking about when we were dating, where she would, I'm not talking to you, I'm not looking at you, I'm not answering calls, I'm just gonna isolate. So she would lash out or things like that, and it's just like, okay, I guess we'll just talk again when one of us gives in. And that's what happens in your marriage. What happens in your marriage is, if you don't have a reconciliation plan, then you're left to live in your anger, live in your sadness, live in your disagreement. All right. And you're able to, you're forced to live in your darkness. There's isolation in that. This is the foothold, because now the enemy gets to work. Oh, when you all are divided? What? When the two are no longer operating as one? What? I get to implant whatever thoughts I want. I get to present whatever female I want to present to you. I get to put whatever mindset I want to be in there. All right? He doesn't love you. He doesn't even value you. See, he's not even chasing after you. He doesn't want you. And then it can start to be, you're not good enough. No man will ever love you. This is why you've always had problems with men. And we don't understand the childhoods or the traumas that our spouses all, how these things now come into the marriage as well. So when there's a reconciliation that needs to happen, you have to have a plan, unless you will start to live in these dark worlds, both still longing for each other. You're really longing for the other one. You're saying like, yo, chase me. Come get me. And you're ready. And the other one is saying, yo, come chase me. Come get me. I'm ready. But too stubborn, or being too stubborn, or egos are too high in a moment to just chase after one another, to seek out one another. This is why the Bible says, do not let the sun go down. Because as the sun goes down, it just begins to build. The seed is planted, the seed begins to grow. And days apart, disconnect begins to water the seed. What happens? Your heart becomes hardened towards one another. When your heart becomes hardened, what happens? Divorce is inevitable. Well, if your heart becomes hardened without reconciliation, then divorce becomes inevitable. Okay, we're never going to put limitations on God. This is why it's so important. So here's what I do. I have to have a plan where I recognize that I have to remove myself out of the situation in the moment. So there's a point where my wife and I, we may be in this intense moment, right? Well, one of us will say, okay, you know what? Right now, it doesn't look like we're getting anywhere. Let's table this conversation and let's come back to it later on. Cool? Okay, cool. This is the first step of reconciliation. First step of reconciliation is recognizing that we're in an intense place where we're not able to reconcile. The first level is being aware that the emotions have got so high that we're at a place where our words are just going to become hurtful. And we're just trying to prove points to one another and no longer listening. And I learned a long time ago, I would rather be received than just heard. I want to be received. Okay? So the first level is, all right, let's come back to it. Now, there's two parts of this reconciliation. One, you should have your own personal reconciliation. And then two, you have your couple reconciliation. Let me show you what I mean. What I mean by this is I am going to first go and I'm going to reconcile with me personally. First thing I'm going to do is worship and work out. That's my WW, okay? Worship and workout. What I'm trying to do is I'm trying to strip my ego and my pride down. There's a high level of adrenaline going and anger going and ego going. Let me go for a walk. Let me go lift. Let me go somewhere where I can exert this energy. And then I'm also in that same time going to worship. God, show me. And in my worship, I'm going to pray. I'm going to say, God, show me the area of my ways. Show me where I didn't hear. Show me where I didn't see it. Show me where I missed it. And show my wife the same thing. Show her the same thing. And it's not like, show her where she was wrong. Show her that she's wrong and I'm right. It's like, no, show us where we missed it. Show me. How could I have been a better listener? How can I have been a better leader? How can I have been a better steward over the conversation? Show me. But I'm also asking God to strip me down, beat this flesh down, soften my heart towards my spouse so I can hear when we come back together. Because if I missed it, I want to be able to receive it. This is the first part. I got to reconcile within me. And then my next part of my reconciliation, I got to call one of my people. Tiff, listen, I'm telling you, this is Tiff's page, okay? We're on here. I don't even like calling Tiff. Okay? I'm telling you, this woman is never on my side. Okay? And I love it. I don't like it, but I love it. She is able to listen objectively. And the thing I ask, my two people that I hit up, the thing I ask is the first thing that I'm going to need is I'm going to need for you to just get in the car with me first. Give me some ad libs. What? She did what? What happened? I can't believe that. I know you was frustrated by that. I was frustrated by that. Give me some ad libs. Give me all the feels. Like, let me get it out. This is what I call getting the venom out. I want to get the venom out with them because I don't want to do it with my wife. I don't want my wife to experience venom from me. And I want to be received. And then there's some point in the conversation, they will both transition like, okay, so let me ask you this. And I'm like, oh my God. And they're able to give me an objective response. And it matches up with God. And God is like, okay. So now that, and my wife has her own reconciliation plan, like she's going to go journal, she's going to go worship, she's going to go pray as well. Notice that prayer and worship is a problem, right? Or she may need to just isolate time, like she may go for a drive, whatever she decides to do. And then at some point, one of us is going to text like, hey, I'm ready to have the conversation. Are you ready? And what we're saying to one another is, I'm at a place where I can listen and hear you, but I'm also at a place where I can communicate and love and be love-led in my communication. Are you in that same place? Yes, I am. Cool. Let's talk about, what do you think, 6 or 7 after dinner? Yeah, perfect. In that reconciliation now, what we're going to do is you talk and I'm going to say, here's what I heard. Did I hear correctly? Yes, you did. If they didn't, then correct them. I heard correctly. Okay, now from there, I'm going to take responsibility. And then I'm going to talk. And then you tell me what you heard. Did I hear correctly? Yes, you did. Take responsibility. And then the last part of the reconciliation plan is, now moving forward, here's what we're going to do moving forward. Let's implement our new policy and procedure now. If you do not have a plan, or if you do not have this plan established, and it can be done your way, But if you do not have a reconciliation plan established in your marriage, you will have a bunch of cuts that you walk around with, open wounds that can be just opened anytime. And you're like, why are you always that? Why are we every day? Because you never healed the wounds. You never took care of the wounds. Okay? Let's dig into number 3. Number 3, all right, deadly sin. Number 3 is denying your spouse of sex. Okay, in Corinthians, we're going to go again with my man Paul. It said the husband should fulfill his marital duty to his wife, and likewise the wife to her husband. Do not deprive each other except perhaps by mutual consent. Again, this is Corinthians, 1 Corinthians 7:3-5. This is another opportunity for the enemy to gain a foothold in your marriage. Even though sex may not be the thing that is prevalent for you, physical touch may not be your thing. You're like, I can go. That doesn't mean your spouse can. So this is where communication comes in, and except by mutual consent. Hey, can we mutually agree that, your spouse may say, well, I need it 7 times a week. Okay, well, I don't want to do it 7 times a week. Can we mutually agree on 2? Can we mutually agree on 3 times a week? And not using sex as a weapon. It's not a weapon. Sex is protection for your marriage, especially if it's your spouse that need it. You don't want the enemy to have a foothold. And you don't realize how much intimacy for yourself and for your spouse starts to connect you all. Now, here's the thing. My wife did, because I'm the sexual one. My wife is like, she's like, I enjoy it when we do it, but if we don't, then I'm not gonna trip. All right, like, because she's not a sexual person. She experienced, molestation when she was a child. So this is something that also is a trigger for her. I have to honor that, and I want to respect that. Right? You don't know how your spouse's sexual partners or whatever have led to their discomfort with sex. All right. And you may say, well, it's not fair to me. Again, I understand that. But this is the woman that you've chose to be with, or the man that you've chose to be with. And we're choosing to take the journey with one another. And we're just going to navigate the journey. That's what we're committing to. When we shared vows with one another, I was committing to navigating the journey that I know we would have to go on. I knew that she had dealt with molestation before we got married. And at the altar, I said, I'm going to take that journey with you. And whatever comes up in that journey, then we're going to deal with it together. And you're making the same commitment to your spouse. That's what you have to understand. So there may be a point where your spouse, you all are thinking to yourself, well, sex is not that important for me. If it's important to your spouse, then you all need to have a conversation about here's what we can do. Here's our agreement. My wife and I, we've done several things that have worked. Some they stopped working, and then we were like, okay, well, let's do this. I see that during this season of your life, you don't want this. But it all comes back to a simple conversation. The goal, though, is not to deny one another. To set in your mind that, hey, we're not going to reject one another. Rejection, when you start to reject a man, it starts to get here where it's like, oh, I don't feel valued. I don't feel supported. I don't feel attractive. I don't feel like you desire me or want me. But what happens then is somebody else can make them feel that way. And it's crazy because 80%, you have 80% of everything. You may be a phenomenal spouse, but it's like, this is the part that I need. This is the part that I want. And somebody else complimented me, and it made me feel alive. That is the foothold. When you deny each other of this connection, then someone else gets to have a foothold. Someone else gets to compliment. Someone else gets to gain that intimacy with your spouse. And that's the thing that you want to remove. You want to take away the opportunity for someone else to gain a foothold. This is what I mean by protection. Now, what you all should do, and this is something that my wife and I have done, is we've set an expectation of, okay, what does intimacy look like outside of sex? So if I said I want the physical part of the sex, and she's like, I love the intimacy of it, the things that you do, like when you massage my feet or rub my feet, or we sit down and have conversations, or you read a book with me, or we do date nights and things like that. Oh, okay. So I'm going to create an environment for you that is intimate, that actually makes you desire to be with me, that helps you to desire to be. I'm going to create an environment where we are connected so much that sex is inevitable. Do you see what I'm saying? Where if we agree, and there's nothing wrong with that, we agree that, hey, look, Thursdays and Sundays we're going to have sex. Okay, then I'm also in agreement that I will make sure to create an environment starting at least 24, 48 hours before that time. And there was a time we did this, y'all. I'm again, in transparency. There was a time where we did this, and it got to a point where it's like, well, if I'm creating this intimacy 24, 48 hours, it's like I'm creating this intimate type of environment pretty much every day. And it went from us having sex twice in a week to that was 1 week. I literally was like, okay, babe, I'm done. Okay, like let's hey, go on about your business. Okay, like I'm okay. I get the point, but I created an environment where she felt very safe, felt very intimate, felt very much like she wasn't being hunted or being used. She felt very much like we were connecting. And then in that connection, in that safety, she's like, okay, I feel I'm way more open. Because again, maybe all the other sexual partners that your spouse has had made them feel used, made them feel like they were just a goal, made them feel hunted, made them feel unloved. So they may associate that now with you and the way you're approaching sex. Do you get what I'm saying? This is a huge conversation that you all have to have. Okay, let me go to the next one. Number 4, you comparing your spouse to other marriages, other men or women, people you see on social media. And I understand comparison is the thief of all joy. Okay, do not get lost in comparing yourself. All right. I love how Paul speaks in Philippians about being content in all seasons. I live with a lot. I live with a little. I just learned that I'm going to be content. I can do all things. I can do all things through Christ that strengthens me. What's most important is that you realize that in comparing your spouse, you're now setting a standard that they will never be able to reach. You know why they won't be able to reach it? Because you're comparing it to somebody that's not them. That's not how I talk. That's not how I look. That's not how I think. That's not how I was raised. How are you comparing me to a completely different person that has a completely different DNA? Their DNA is different. They're a completely different person. But what you should focus on is that there may be principles or values that you see in that. If you say, I want us to value us going on date nights, then make that a part of your relationship. Hey, babe, like date nights are something that's sacred to me. I want us to be able to spend time together every single week. I want to look forward to hanging out with you, and I want us to put on clothes and things like that. Can we agree to that? To do that once a week? Yeah, okay, let's identify what day is good for us. It's a communication. Because the reason why you start to compare is because you think love is a feeling. Nah, Corinthians 13, it said love is patient, love is kind, love is not envious, love does not keep record of wrong. These are actions. Patience means to wait without complaining. That's an action. It's not the feeling that you fell in love with first, because you didn't know this person, right? It was the communication that you all had, the fact that you were having long conversations, the fact that you were going on dates, the fact that you had a hardship and they came through for you in that hardship, and all of that stuff that came through for you, the fact that they were paying for dates or opening doors, or the fact that she was cooking or buying socks or replacing underwear or whatever the case may be. It was all of these actions that came where you were like, this person makes me feel safe. They make me feel wanted. They make me feel attracted. I love them. Forgiveness is an action. This creates love. So don't confuse, when you start comparing these things, don't confuse the fact, I'm not in love with them, you need to act like this. It's like, no. You all have stopped the actions of love. So the thing that you're looking at, you can actually create in your own marriage, whatever the principle of it is that you're looking. I want to see, he buys her flowers. What does the flowers mean to you? First of all, you saw it. You saw on this that they bought flowers and they surprised and sent to a job. Okay, now define what that meant to you. It made them feel special. You're like, I want to feel special in that way. I want somebody to demonstrate love to me in that way. Your spouse. Like, that I like receiving gifts. That's my love language. I would love to, and they don't have to, this is my wife's love language. This is a real thing. I look at her, she doesn't necessarily take care of the flowers. She put them in the little bowl and they die. But she likes receiving them. Can I do that? Yes. What? She saw online. This is true. So she was like, I love the fact that I don't have to, that this wife doesn't have to get out to pump the gas. Like, her husband washes the car and pump the gas. She came to me like, man, I like, it's just an act of service. It's just something that I truly like. I don't like having to go to the pumps and stand out there, or I don't want that responsibility. Is that something you think you can do for me? What? Yeah, I got you. I have no problem with doing that. We have to have a simple conversation. But I like when, see, I want to show you this example. Like, I like popping out like this. I'm not saying I want you to look like her. I'm taking the principle. I don't want to compare. I want to take the principle. I like, you see, when they were going out on date night, they just popped out the matching colors, the complementary colors. And when they go into events, I want to do something like that. I like the way it looks, and it just makes us feel coordinated and all of those things. She's like, oh, okay, bet. So I bought a pair of shoes. I bought her a pair too. And now she like, cause she's with it. She's like, no, I don't mind. She doesn't mind dressing up. I'm just saying, now when you dress up, show me your outfit when you buy something. I'm gonna buy something that coordinated with it. It's just connecting us more. I don't have to compare anything that I want to create in my marriage. We can create it through a simple conversation. There's nothing that somebody else has in their marriage that you need or that you can't create in your own. There's nothing. I love that they can go on a trip and 6 months. Okay, you value traveling? The principle. You value traveling? Man, I want to do some more traveling. Cool. In order for us to travel, I would like to sacrifice my allowance, or I want to do this, or I want to do this so we can save up the money, or let's start a business and be able to do it, or whatever. Or you may say, hey, I'm going to start this business and I'm going to start a blog, and I want to use all the money that comes from the blog to be able to fund our traveling. Only thing I need for your support is this. Y'all see how, what? Don't get caught up in, you want to look at it because you want to complain that you don't have that. Well, that took work. And we don't know what's behind there. So instead, focus on your marriage. All right, that's a deadly sin. Comparison is the thief. It takes you out of the state of gratitude. And I also want to just say this last thing before we move forward to the next one. Before you even bring up something else you want to add, I need you to identify the level of gratitude that you have for your current state of marriage. I need you to recognize and be in a state of gratitude for what you currently have. There's a difference in you trying to change someone and you're being grateful, and you're just trying to enhance what you're already grateful for. You're trying to increase. There's nothing wrong with increase. Man, I'm so grateful that we get to go for our little weekend getaways, or we go on our family trip where we're driving to another city. I'm so grateful for it. I saw this thing online where they took the whole family to Jamaica. I think I'm ready for that. I think I'm ready for us to take our entire family to that. Can we plan for that? I don't have a problem with you getting inspired by stuff you see, but you are, why can't you be more like him? See, he took his whole family. Whoa, wait a minute. We're not doing that. That's not what we're doing. But you see, there's a different approach to everything that we do. Did y'all see that? Y'all see the approach? All right, let me keep going. All right, number 5. I think we're on number 5. All right. Number 5 is this one for me is deadly, right? Moving out of agreement. Okay. When I say moving out of agreement, I mean I don't want you to make a decision that will impact both of us without us having a conversation. All right. Matthew 18:19. If 2 of you agree on earth about anything, if 2 of you agree on earth about anything they ask, it will be done. If 2 of you agree, we move in agreement. It doesn't matter to me that you think your plan is the best plan. Hear my voice. Do not take away your spouse's voice. Because you can have the best plan, but they should still have a voice in it. Your spouse is going to bring so much more value when you all move as one, because they're going to see gaps that you didn't even think about. And yes, you have a great plan, but and maybe you're like, yo, I've done this plan several times. I know it's going to work. Yeah, you can have it work, but you will have gained the world, but you would have lost your spouse. You have lost your soul. You would have sacrificed the person you're supposed to experience the world with. You would have lost them because now you're tagging them along in resentment. And what happens when you take away your spouse's voice, they're not as confident. Insecurity sets in, where they no longer feel like they can come to you or voice their opinion. And that's not what I need when we're trying to make big decisions. Think about this: your teammate. If I tell my teammate every single day, we're on the court, we're playing basketball, and every single day I tell my teammate, man, you suck. You trash. Your shot is trash. Your shot is trash. Guess what they're going to stop doing? They're going to stop shooting. So now when I pass them the ball and they're wide open, guess what they're going to do? Pass it back. They're not confident with shooting. And what happens when the team know that they're not going to shoot? They're going to double and triple team me. Why? Because I've killed their confidence. My teammate can't show up when I need them to show up. You've literally killed your spouse's confidence. I had a friend one time. He told his wife, like, shut up. Like, whoa, bro. Like, hey, bro, don't do that. Don't tell your wife to shut up. It's not what we're doing. We're not calling our spouses names or anything like that. we move in agreement. So a simple thing is, I love the idea now. And I get it. My wife used to get to a point where I'm like, yo, you're stealing my joy. I'm coming with this idea and then you're just knocking it down. You ain't even. But what she was doing was going into her protective state, which is, wait a minute, I see the gaps in this. I just said to her, like, oh, I see what's happening. So you're saying the idea is good, but if I cure these things, then it can actually happen. Yes. Okay. Here's what I need from you, babe. When I give you the idea, I need you to validate it in some type of way first, because I'm coming to you on a high. Tell me what you like about the idea before you tell me what won't work. Okay, cool. A simple conversation. Now I get excited about, okay, man, look, I got this idea. I'm telling you, we're gonna do $1 million on this. We're gonna do $1 million on this. And I'm like, cool. She's like, oh, okay, no, I can see this. And then she starts to add value to the idea. Oh man, you can also do this and this. I'm like, oh, I didn't even think about that. Okay, tell me. Now I'm asking her, okay, tell me what you see that could be wrong. I don't see gaps in that way. Listen, y'all, I'm a person that I'm like, yo, we gonna win or we gonna win? And any idea I have, we gonna win at it because I'm gonna work at it. Right? She's a realist where she's like, come on, babe. Come on now. But tell me the gaps. Well, man, I don't think this here, if you did this here, but here's where you're going to have barriers. Here's what it's like, oh, okay. And I now know that if I cure these things and with my execution and her ability to find problems and also come with solutions, we're going to win. This is why it's important that we move in agreement. I remember there was another time she was like, I'm going to join the choir. And I'm like, well, babe, this is not the time to join the choir because like my schedule, the launches that we have for our business and all of this stuff, it's like, it's going to put a burden on me and I'm not going to be able to put as much into our business. It's going to cause our business to suffer. So imagine if she would have, and she was like, okay, cool. When is a good time for us to do it? Imagine if she would have just still went and did it. Imagine what I would have felt, the resentment I would have felt, the frustration I would have felt, the disconnect I would have felt. You're not going to force my hand. Don't force my hand. But we can have a simple conversation of agreement and then we move. We're going to get further together. Come on. 2 could put 10,000 to flight. We're going to do more damage together. Don't put us in position where we're moving separately. We will do more together. Y'all hear me? Let's go. I'm going to move on to the next one. Number 6. Now, here's where a lot of people drop off and they start disagreeing with me and all of those things. But number 6 is in marriage, if you put your kids or your your kids or your in-laws before your spouse, this is a deadly sin. We go to Genesis 2 and it says that the two will now become one flesh. Genesis 2:24. That is why a man leaves his father and mother and is united to his wife, and they become one flesh. You all become one flesh. And it's important that, again, even when I correct my kids, I don't say, yo, don't talk to your mother that way. I say, yo, don't talk to my wife like that. No, you've never heard me talk to my wife like that. What makes you think it's okay? There's a standard that's being set from this union right here. There is a standard that is being set. You all are now one flesh. All right. Adam says she is bone of my bone, flesh of my flesh. You all are now one. And you let no man put you under. This is the foundation. You know why? Because the Bible says leave and cleave. That doesn't just mean you and your spouse. That means that your children are going to do the same thing. Your son will leave and cleave to his wife. There will be a man that wants to leave and cleave to your daughter. And they are going to build their own family, and they will leave that home. Your union must still be intact. And you must show you honoring this principle right here will demonstrate to them how they are to be with their spouses, the standard. My sons, when they have kids, they will say to their kids, don't talk to my wife that way. They will have a level of protection and a standard for how people can treat their wife. I don't let my wife talk to my wife any type of way. You hear me? There's a certain way that my wife could talk to herself. There's a standard. You ain't never heard me say that. What makes you think you can say that about yourself? Don't talk about my wife like that. There's a standard that when my daughter sees how I treat her, she's going to have the same expectation for her husband. You all are setting the standard. But if you set the wrong standard, then that's what they will go out and do. It's like, oh, your marriage ended in divorce doing that, and now you're setting them up for the same thing. You all sat at the altar together. You all made the covenant before God. And I love how Paul literally talks about that marriage is symbolic of Christ, the relationship between Christ and the church. That you should honor and submit. The women should honor and submit to their husband, just like the church did to Christ. And the men should protect and sacrifice for their wife, just like Christ did for the church. Christ died for the church. There's that union, right? That union is that powerful, where Paul talks about, he compares it between the relationship between Christ and the church. You don't let anybody break that. Nothing or no one but God comes before that. You must stand strong on that. This is how you fortify. This is how you fortify. You hear me? Let's go to number 7. All right, it's the last one. 7 deadly sins. The last one is, and this is the first one, but I wanted to save this for the last one. Not having God as the foundation in your marriage. I want to go to Ecclesiastes 4:12. Though one may be overpowered, so you, and I've told you all of this, you go your own separate ways, you will be overpowered. The thing about fortifying your marriage is not to give the enemy a foothold in any way. You don't want to leave a foothold. By yourself, you leave a foothold. Whenever you all are disconnected, you're going to leave a foothold. And you will be overpowered. But then it says in Ecclesiastes, 2 can defend themselves. Yes, you can defend yourself. You will grow weary, though. You will grow tired. A cord of 3 strands is not quickly broken. The third strand is God. You having a foundation of God, that's not easily broken. You are fortified. Your marriage is fortified. And with God comes, listen, a new identity. When you not just believe in God, but you fear God, there comes a new identity with that. There comes new principles and values. Principles like love is patient, love is kind. Love does not keep record of wrong. Love protects. There comes new principles of long suffering, all of these things. There comes new principles of when a man finds a wife, he obtains favor with the Lord. Wait a minute, I got this wife, I obtain favor. There comes new principles of men should honor their spouses so their prayers won't be hindered. What? There comes new principles. There's a new identity in Christ. Now you're love-led in how you communicate. Now you can reconcile with one another. Now you read and pray for one another. Now you long for one another. Now you run to forgiveness. Run to forgiveness. When God is foundational in the marriage, not having this is a deadly sin. It is the strongest one. Because what principles do your marriage stand on? What identity does your marriage stand on? And if you don't have that, then anything is acceptable. But when you have God at the foundation, then we know all things are not acceptable. We can't participate in this world how we want to. We can't give into the flesh how we want to. God calls us to deny our flesh, to take up our cross and follow him. So now I understand as a man, like when I fear God, I know what God tells me how I'm to treat my Bible. I mean, to treat my wife and how I'm to sacrifice. God tells me to not be provoking to my kids, but God tells my kids to make sure you honor your mother and father so your days will be long. Come on. When you bring God into the marriage, there also comes a new identity with that. There comes a new protection plan in place. There also comes the fact that we get to use the name of Jesus in our lives now. We start to understand the power of the tongue. We start to understand that if we just have faith of a mustard seed, we can look at this mountain and say, move over here, and it will do just that. But if you don't have God in your marriage and you don't know how powerful you truly are, and you don't know the power of two, and surely you will be overpowered. Surely that thing will start to break apart. I want you all to take these 7 things and you start to fortify your marriage. It's your man, Work Table. Let's get it.